scientific thinking brings to mind perhaps Dr. Spock in Star Trek. It's just pure logic, no emotion, no passion, and that's certainly not the intent.
Hey there, how are you and your team doing today? Tito Schwartz here at the Campus for Leaders. And in this episode, I'd like to give you another bit of my recent conversation with Professor Jeffrey Liker at the University of Michigan, talking about scientific thinking, deliberate practice, Toyota Kata, and of course, his new book. In the coming days, I'll put out more of my conversation with Jeff, so watch for that. Now, let's get back to Jeff and listen to what he has to say about scientific thinking and emotions. So, Jeff, what is scientific thinking?
I was looking through various definitions of scientific thinking, and I came across one that I loved, which is, what if you needed to summarize scientific thinking in one character, not one word, one character? And this
Wow.
guy comes up with a question mark. And to me, that's a great, if you had one symbol, that's a great one.
Right.
Because really what scientific thinking is about is questioning and challenging. And that's really the basis for active thinking. When we think we know and we stop questioning, then our brains are static and we're not learning anymore. So it's really about interest, and it's exciting to be thinking, to have your brain activated and alive instead of sort of dead and dormant. And then also the emotion comes in partly because we start to get excited about the purpose, what we're trying to
Mhm.
accomplish. And we think more broadly than a particular action to get a particular result. And we start to think, what is our purpose? What is our reason for being? What is our reason for doing this? And that also excites you and excites parts of the brain that have to do with emotion.
Yeah, but in many organizations, tools and methods are practiced in a rather prescriptive way, whereas you're saying that practicing a scientific way of thinking is connecting to a feeling of purpose and also positive emotions.
I think you could certainly practice scientific thinking in what I call in the book a mechanistic way. But the starting point, step one in the improvement kata, is what is your challenge? So that immediately pulls you out of the weeds and brings you up to, if I could really do something that made a difference this year, that made a significant impact on me, the world, my business, what would that be? Wouldn't it be great if, and Mike says fill in the blank.
What Jeff is talking about here is step one of the improvement kata, which is a four-step model for practicing a more scientific way of thinking and working together, developed by Mike Rother. Let's listen to how Jeff explains the other three steps of the improvement kata.
So now I've got this something I care about as an outcome, but it's not a technical outcome. It's more of a vision and a
Right.
purpose. Then I say, all right, that's way out there. Maybe even seems impossible. So I could, go like this and say, oh, stop. That's not a smart goal. And then I step back and say, all right, I'm not going to panic. I'm just going to ask the simple question of where am I now in relation to that challenge? Now that becomes a somewhat technical because I'm understanding the current condition, which requires data and analysis and direct observation. And that is sort of interesting because it gets you to realize that some of your stereotypes of what you think is happening in your own workplace are not really true. They're true sometimes, but not all the time. And there's lots of disturbances and variation. So when you start to understand the complexity of the world, that becomes kind of interesting. Then he says, all right, stop action. You know where you want to go. You have some idea, not a complete idea, but you have some idea of the current condition. One last step before you start acting, which is set a short-term target condition. This is where I want to be in 2 weeks in outcome, but also this is what the process should look like in 2 weeks that I think will achieve the outcome. And now you're visioning, and it turns out when people positively vision the future, it gets their energy up, and you can even show it through brain scans as compared to, for example, identifying obstacles or identifying barriers, which brings you down. So now you're kind of excited that not only is this challenge out there, which seems impossible, but also I have a goal that now seems sort of realistic, and I've only got 2 weeks to do it, so I better start acting right now. And then you come up with an idea and you immediately test it. And that's where we really get our energy, when we try something. And then it may work or it may not work. And you've actually made a prediction. So now you can see whether your prediction comes true. And you can win or lose on that prediction. And it becomes almost like a game, like a video game. All these elements work to make this energizing and sort of exciting and not feel pedantic and logical. And if it's not like that, it's practical, it's a goal achievement, and you're very quickly jumping into action. And you're seeing how you're doing, you're seeing what the score is.
Give wings to your team.